Hey everyone, we just crossed 500,000 of you, which is honestly unreal. So instead of a normal video, I'm answering your questions. Thank you for being here, for following along, and for helping turn the story into something bigger than I ever imagined. Let's get into it. The first question, coming from Waving Laguna on Instagram. Do you have any education with academia outside of fiction? If so, could you disclose which field you study? Your presentations are very in line with the experience I had with real lectures and readings, so I'm very curious. Keep up the good work. Great question. So a little history on my education. I'll do half in character and half out of character. In character, Marcus Zane never went to college. He was just a naturally smart individual. Out of character, I did attend college. I went to the College of Business and acquired my bachelor's degree. I won't go into specifics, as I do try to stay as anonymous as possible. But yes, I do have an education. The next question comes from TikTok user GainClipsNation. What is your personal take on the paranormal or supernatural, and if you had some experiences, what are some? So this one I will answer out of character for obvious reasons. A lot of you don't know this, but I did dabble in theological and occult studies. I have a video coming out in a couple days in regards to religion, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, I studied theology with the intention of understanding reality. I wanted to make the world make sense. For years I had my nose buried in old textbooks and occult material. Not because I wanted to summon demons or chase the idea of a higher power, but because I truly believed, and still do, that you will never understand good unless you understand evil. With that said, using my knowledge, I've encountered an instance a few years back that to this day, I still don't understand. I have real footage of things moving without any external forces. Maybe one day, if I ever decide to reveal myself, I can make that footage known. Until then, I'll keep studying and trying to make sense of it. The next question comes from Leon Was Taken on Instagram. How did the switch from the SCP Foundation to the NHA come about? Another great question. As some of you may know, this page started as a SCP Foundation roleplay character. Video after video it grew. I had these massive projects in mind, such as the project, Site 19, the short films, the Hollywood adaptations. But there was a big roadblock in the way, the SCP Foundation. In order for me to continue my mission of bringing Marcus Zane's story to life, I had to take him out of the SCP Foundation world. So I pondered for weeks, months, on how I could bring this character to life. I created my own universe, the Zaneverse. Through the Zaneverse, I didn't have to tiptoe around legal jargon. The SCP Foundation is created under the Creative Commons Share Alike 3.0 license, which basically says the universe belongs to the internet, not a single person. So with me creating the Zaneverse, assuming you continue to support the project, we can take this to the big screens. You do your part, and I'll do mine. That is how and why we made the switch to the NHA. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that username, but they ask, how do you choose the comments that you make videos on your hypothetical containment videos? I think this question will help you all understand why and how I pick my video topics. There's a little research that goes into this part as well. So I pick your comments based on two factors, upvotes and if I see an audience behind it. The first step is I look to see which comments, usually on my recent video, have gotten the most attention. If it is a hypothetical recommendation, then the next step I take is to figure out who or what it is. This is where the research happens that you don't see. I search through the ideas presented to me, and then I decide on which video idea would do the best. For example, the Star Wars universe has more followers than, let's say, the Chronicles of Narnia. I will obviously choose the Star Wars suggestion over the Chronicles of Narnia character. It's not that I'm avoiding it. I just pick the best video ideas first. However, that isn't always the case. I do like to appeal to all groups and niches out there. As a creator, one of my goals is outreach, so occasionally I will pick one of those niche characters because I know that particular fan base will come across my content. So if you stand back and look at my page, you'll notice it's a hub of niche communities. So I hope that answers your question on how I choose my topics. Great question. All right, we have a two-part question from Vicky2169 on YouTube. Do I ever get a good night of sleep with the NHA hunting me? And do I plan on adding anyone else to Leviathan 7, like recruits and stuff like that? Let me answer this question half in character and half out. In regards to the NHA, they'll never find me. And even if they did, Leviathan 7 has enough firepower and combat readiness to make sure they never get close. In regards to Leviathan 7, I'm still developing characters and growing that part of the Zaneverse. Outside of the 7 members of the Abyssal Council, there are a couple other names floating around that I would like to introduce. For a more out-of-character answer, I've considered the idea of reaching out to creators to play the official role of a Leviathan 7 member, or even someone inside the Zaneverse. I do have one creator in mind right now that will be another official character inside the Zaneverse that will also be a creator like myself. I won't be disclosing that just yet, but it will be soon. Now to address one of the top 3 most asked questions on my page. Lenita on TikTok asks, is that your real voice? And before I answer that question, there's a reason you've heard me in other videos. There's a reason that you stumble across unrelated pages that sound like me. To answer in simple terms, no, this is not my real voice. The voice you are hearing is recreated and generated in a different voice, and then combined with a voice filter. In a way, this is my voice, but not really. This is the voice associated with Marcus Zane. This is the voice I present to you, and now you're able to put a voice and face together. The reason you may think I'm all over the internet is because they use the same voice plugin I do. So now you're probably asking, why don't you just use your real voice? Well, there's a variety of reasons. One being animosity. I don't want my public identity known. I like being unrecognizable in the real world. Someone who doesn't get a second look when you're trying to order your food or pump their gas. My voice would instantly give it away. Which is also why I wear the veil, for those who weren't aware. Another reason I use this voice is for your benefit. There's been days I've felt deathly sick. If I didn't use a voice filter, I would have excuses to not film videos or upload that day. With the filter, you can't tell I don't feel well. This keeps me on the grind, even when I don't feel like it. So there you have it. I guess you could say the truth will be known. Great question. The next question comes from Anthony Condren 6 on Instagram. How long have you been writing this story? I'm going to treat this as a 2-part question. One part being directed at the Zaneverse and the other at the Man Behind the Veil audiobook. So starting with the Zaneverse. I've been physically creating this universe, as in actually writing, brainstorming, and creating it for about a year now. Some days I wrote a lot, some days I couldn't even tell you who Marcus Zane was. It was a toss-up, but every corner, every story, every Xeno has been created by me and my team over the course of a year or so. In regards to The Man Behind the Veil book, I can't take full credit for it. Yes, it represents my life to a large degree, but I didn't physically write it. There's a local upcoming author who is putting in the time, ink, and muscle behind turning it into a story. I'll also add, the story is sci-fi, but outside of the science fiction, a lot of events are very accurate. I fully recommend listening if you're into sci-fi romance, or just want to know Marcus Zane lore. Ace on Instagram asks, what's your inspiration, or inspirations for the story? Which I feel like ties to the previous question in some ways. Long story short, I can say my story is heavily influenced by my instinctual pull to science, world building, my drive to be greater than I was yesterday, and the final reason would be my life, telling my story to the world. I don't want to mispronounce your username, but the next question is in regards to vampires and werewolves. Are they in my research? In character? Yes. I'll have more Xeno declassifications later down the line for something similar to these. Out of character. All of the years I've spent studying the paranormal and conspiracy theories, I can't say I believe these exist. Fun to think about? Absolutely. Real? Not so much. The next question is from Waywalker777. I'd like to know about Antarctica. What is there? Is there a portal for 2 different worlds? Is there an opening to a hollow earth, other beings outside of an ice wall? So this one I'll answer in character. People are infatuated with Antarctica. The NHA has their headquarters, Tundra Station, placed directly inside the X1 anomaly. As most of you are aware, X1 is a frozen civilization found deep under the Antarctic ice that Maxwell Null dubbed the first anomaly. X1 has not shown any signs of life beyond the abandoned city, and that includes portals to other dimensions. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble here, but the research behind a portal existing in the Antarctic doesn't exist. Great question, though. The next question comes from Midnight Clad Tattoos on TikTok, and they ask, where did you come up with this idea originally? They requested this be answered out of character, so let's dive in. This wasn't an idea that just happened overnight. When I first created my page, my idea behind it was purely arts and crafts, believe it or not. Before this, I created Harry Potter potion bottle props and decided to take a different route. I wanted to do something more science-related because I'm naturally science-minded. At the time, I was also somewhat invested in the SCP stories. I put the 2 ideas together and thought to myself, I want to recreate SCP files in an artistic way. And that's what I did. I distressed the papers, printed off my own copies and aged them, used my graphic design skills to recreate documents and add some details like handwritten notes and classified stamps. Then that's when Marcus Zane was born. I needed a character that I could showcase my work with. I created the name Marcus because it sounded like a strong masculine name, and Zane stemmed from the sci-fi world because it sounds futuristic in a way. I knew I wanted to run with an undercover researcher vibe, so the original Veil came into the picture. From there, my audience wasn't attracted to my classified document art, but more along the lines of the stories behind them. So I started creating content based around that. Then eventually it started to gain traction, so I took another shift, then another, then another. Now, this is where we ended up. So I don't want to say this was something done overnight. This has been a work in progress since the beginning, because you all believed in the story and wanted more. This absolutely wasn't what I had in mind when I created my channels, but I'm not mad whatsoever, because I get to build the ultimate universe and community-driven page with the best fan base in the world. So thank you, I like this question. And last but not least, the number one question that is asked on my page. Where did you get the prop helmet you're actually wearing? I'll finally answer this question out of character, since you all know the story behind it in character. So, there's non-disclosure agreements my team have made that surround this helmet, so I'll answer what I can. This helmet was custom made by an Italian cosplay designer in Italy. As soon as I had an opportunity to get out of that other generic cyberpunk-style mask, I did. I reached out to the artist, and after sending in my measurements, this helmet came to be. So I apologize if you all thought this was some motorcycle helmet or helmet you can go pick up at your local party store. This helmet, this mask, this veil is who Marcus Zane is. I want to seriously thank you all for the support, the curiosity, and for sticking with me through every chapter of this journey. None of this exists without you paying attention, asking questions, and wanting to know more. This story isn't finished, far from it. I'll see you in the next one.